Good rising, brethren. This is Big Judah coming to you guys from California. Before I begin, give all praises to the Most High, Yahweh. Acknowledgement to the earthly mother. Who is wisdom? Who is the Holy Spirit? Acknowledgement to Yahweh Shai. I pray that the Most High blesses this lesson this evening, gives more knowledge, understanding of the events of the past, in order to understand events that are currently happening on the earth, so we get a much better understanding of the things that are soon to come on the earth. Welcome to the Patreon channel. And we're going to be getting into the Black Celts book and what I read a couple of weeks ago, which led me to call out to the nation to bring the funds together in order to order the first edition of the book that we're going to talk about right now. I did not want to put this out on YouTube just because I know that this information seems to be causing a huge stir. I know that ultimately the Most High is in charge of absolutely everything. But this information, is really important to our nation. It really doesn't have anything to do with the other nations. Eventually, the Most High will call all the ones that this is for, and they will come and they will get this information. So we're on the Black Celts right now, an ancient African civilization in Ireland and Britain. Indo-European tribes first reached Britain and Ireland between 800 BC and 500 BC. What tribes inhabited Britain and Ireland before these European tribes arrived? A study of folklore, craniology, blood groups, language, Irish and Welsh, and archaeology indicates the arrival of Africans during the Neolithic, Bronze, and Iron Ages. So it's the Annals of Clonmacnoise, the Leibhar Gabala, or the Book of Conquest, and the Annals of Ireland, compiled by the Four Masters, contain fascinating accounts of many ancient tribes. These books mention the arrival in Ireland of African sea pirates. Of course, again, they're trying to talk about African, but you guys already know that Solomon and our people had fleets of ships as well. So African sea pirates, otherwise known as Fomorians. The Irish Annals are not simply a collection of old folk tales. Those are the ones that we got, okay? They give the location of ancient burial mounds and tumuli, the sites of battles, and other details which have been verified by archaeologists. So this is showing you that this information has already been verified and that this is true. This is our history. These are the things that were happening before the Indo-Europeans came, and it's present in these books. I ordered this one of the Annals of Clonmacnoise or whatever else. Clonmacnoise. I'm going to actually make sure to get that coming today, okay? But we're trying to get some of these other books, and we can't keep putting it out, on YouTube with the other people, with all the other nations, because it seems like every time we bring out information, about these books shoot up in price. Or they just disappear off of the books, the different like eBays, Amazons. They just disappear, just like that. Okay. The opening chapter of the Annals deals with the Irish version of the Great Flood, the Neolithic, Bronze, and Iron Age. Again, this is all information about the Great Deluge, the Great Flood, just like they had over here in the Americas before the so-called Europeans showed up. Indo-European speaking tribes first arrived in Ireland and Britain between 800 BC and 500 BC. So they said these people had nothing to do with it. So just because they anglicized everything, put their pictures on everything, just to try to make it seem like it was them, but there's nothing there. Okay? So the question of who inhabited these islands before them still remains unanswered. See, and it's just things they don't want to talk about. When you ask certain questions, they just don't want to have that conversation. They don't want to bring it up. They don't want to talk about it. Okay? Again, the question of who inhabited these islands before them still remains unanswered. All modern books on Irish and British history completely ignore any connections with Africa. So they try to make sure that you don't make that connection of so-called black people and Britain and Ireland. That's why they whitewashed absolutely everything. The very old copies of the Annals of Ireland openly mention the arrival of African sea pirates, while modern versions have deleted any reference to Africa. So as you can see, that's why it was so important to get the first edition. And I went back and looked, and I think the first edition now, they were trying to sell it for $6,700 for the first couple of books in this first edition. But this, like I said, is our history. Okay, so again, let's read that part again. The very old copies of the Annals of Ireland openly mention the arrival of African sea pirates, while modern versions have deleted any reference to Africa. So they're deleting information, keeping us out of the books, which is exactly what they've done with the other modern history books. The history of Ireland begins with its discovery by 3 fishermen from Spain. This event, according to the annals, occurred before the Great Deluge. These fishermen were the first individuals to set foot in Ireland. Okay, they did not stay long in Ireland, but returned to the Iberian Peninsula. Ireland remained uninhabited until the arrival of a group led by Noah's granddaughter, Caesar. She was accompanied by 50 women and 3 men. Okay, and you get the names right there: Fitin Biff and Ladra. The laborer Gabala gives a full account of how Caesar left her homeland in northern Sudan, crossed into Egypt, and then sailed to Ireland. So as you can see, there's ships going on, there's sailing going on, there's movement of people into different areas, but the Indo-Europeans were nowhere to be found. So for them to come in and give their opinions after writing us all out of the history shows you why this information, is not going to be popular with the masses. The vast majority of the people are content with being asleep. And this is for our people. This is for the people who are now awakening. This is not for everyone. Because remember, in Matthew 28, the skies are cracked open. It says all the tribes of the world are going to be mourning. Why is that? Because they're not going to have this understanding, which we are all being blessed with. So let's let them continue to remain asleep. And the ones that are the Most High has given the seeds to start chasing this truth will first come on to Big Juna channel. They'll be blessed with other information from other people, depending on whatever level that the Most High has them at. And then if they're called in to get into the other information, they'll come over here to to Patreon and get even more knowledge and understanding. We're going to be hitting these other books really hard. And as you saw how things are already going on as far as the manipulation of the channel, you can imagine what would happen if I continued to do that on YouTube. I'm trying to make sure I leave, more seeds for our brethren who are coming in a little bit later than everyone else. There's going to be more coming, family. All praise is to the Most High, Yahweh. Acknowledgement to the earthly mother. Who is wisdom? Who is the Holy Spirit? Acknowledgement to Yahweh Shai. Shalom.